session, and I hope all of you guys are doing good. So let's start with the discussion today. So we are conducting these type of sessions so that you can understand what all things are going on, and if you are working in some of the projects or you are planning to create some of the Gen AI solutions, right? So in that case, you can go ahead and you can get some idea from these type of discussions which we are doing. So today we are going to talk about your data warehousing agent, right? Which create the entire data warehouse end to end. And it's something like you can say more of a data engineering pipeline, which we are creating based on the power of generative AI. I'll be first discussing that how we have implemented this solution with our clients, right? And then we'll go ahead and we'll try to see the code part as well. If you are interested, you can go ahead and you can try to implement this in your work as well, right? So that is the idea. That is the reason we are discussing this. So as Gen AI is evolving quite extensively, so companies are leveraging to reduce the task by doing some automations, creating some workflows. So one of the clients, they have asked us to implement this entire data warehousing generator, where just by passing the texts, although the implementation which we did with the client was very exhaustive, but here we are just going to give you a bit of idea that what all things can be done, and you can also create a small MVP from that. So in this, I was using LangGraph, which is one of the frameworks which we have, helping us to generate this entire workflow. And second is OpenAI API, which I am using, which is helping us to get the power of the agent, right? So first of all, what is the barrier? Obviously, it's a technical thing, and it is like a roadblock for any non-technical guy who is looking forward to build something, right? So the problem was data warehouse development is currently high friction and expertise dependent. If suppose I want to go ahead and I want to implement the entire data warehouse without having a technical knowledge, we cannot do that. So there is a technical friction, like we should be aware of all the syntax like DDL syntax, DML syntax, join constraints, data types and all. And also as a developer, also if I want to write these codes again and again, it will be a time consuming process. So I want to reduce the time for the developers as well. All the basic codes will be written by the machine only, and we can enhance this later on based on our requirement. So basically creating the boilerplate code, which can help the developers to create the basic structure first. So this problem was basically to reduce the development hours, but you can think of like a non-technical as well, that if you're coming from a non-technical background and you want to create certain solutions, then you can also play around with this particular solution and you can make it more powerful as well. So the result is to take hours, reliance on senior engineers, creates a dependency chain involving manual review and trial and error execution. So this was the problem, right? Developer will have to write some boilerplate code. There is a friction between business and the technicalities, and that leads to the dependency on the senior engineers. So basically, all the data engineers who are working as a data engineers, they can think of getting into AI as well, and they can start automating the tasks. That is what many companies are doing. There are various tools are available as well in the industry, which is like doing the entire data analysis and data engineering end to end just by clicks. So a lot of things are evolving, and that is one of the solutions which we have built as well. An autonomous agent that translates intent into infrastructure, right? So basically, the idea here is an AI-powered execution agent that accepts plain English instructions and convert them to a valid MySQL SQL statements. For example, I want to create an employee table with these columns. It will automatically create it for me. I want to create a view which will join the employee table and the department table where I want only IT department. It can do that for me as well. So that type of plain English will work and it will generate the objects in your database. And that will be done by your agent, the brain which we have. That is OpenAI models. It can create the database, it can create the tables, it can create the all the constraints in the table like primary keys, foreign keys, all those different constraints which we have. It can create the views. We can create a complex views as well by applying the joins and aggregations and filters. So that is the solution. But again, as I mentioned that I am going to showcase the demo version of it, but we implemented this for one of the clients where it was more exhaustive. I want to take care of the slowly changing dimensions, right? I can do that. I can create the stored procedures. So all those things we have implemented in detail. So that was an exhaustive product which we have built. But here I am showcasing one small demo. Are you guys able to hear me, all of you? Can you quickly confirm? No. Moving from static scripts to reasoning agents, right? So the traditional was a static script which we are creating requires manual triggers, require manual validations. But we can apply that context aware autonomous and we can apply the logic constraints. We can validate its own actions. All those things can be done. A proper agent can be created. That agent possesses reasoning. It does not just fill templates. It makes decision based on input and the feedback. So that is the power which we are giving, that all the manual tasks which we are doing, you have to manually check all the details. All those things are pretty much taken care by the machine itself. Orchestrated control ensures reliability and safety. Now, you must have heard about the news like your AI agent dropped the very critical production databases and all. And that is what we have to take care of as well in the real time, right? When you are working with a project and you are using agents for doing all these type of database creation and table creations and all, we have to make sure that it will not run the complex, or I can say the critical statements like drop, delete, right? Those truncate, those type of things I don't want. And if you want to still make your agent very robust, that the agent should able to run those type of statements as well. In that case, we need the HITL, human in the loop, right? Before dropping any critical table or critical database, I want an approval from the human as well. Then only I want the action to be taken. So that type of restriction we can do. It's still a bit of a risky as well, but the development which we have done for the client, it was taken care nicely and it was not dropping any things without taking the approval from the human. But what we can do is we can just make sure that we will not pass the drops and deletes, right? Those type of statement I will not execute. I can apply that type of restriction also, that you are the only agent which is going to create the things, not drop the things, right? Also, what we can do is we can create a user level restrictions as well at the database level. For example, in this particular code, which I am going to show you, I have created a dedicated user in the database, which will not have all the drop type of command access, right? So here, if you see, here I have created the environment file and I created the new user called DW agent. This user does not have the access to your drops, deletes, right? So if let's say by mistake, someone asks for drops and deletes, it will not do that because your agent is logged in with this user ID. So that is also taken care, right? So at the database level also we can take care of the things. If you don't want any type of uh, issues coming in the application, we can restrict at the database user level. So that is the idea. So we use the Streamlit UI. In this particular demo, I'm using Streamlit UI, although for the client, we use Node.js and all for front-end development. But here for demo purpose, I am using the Streamlit, which is one of the packages in Python. And I created the entire front end on that. Under the hood, there is a lang graph, which is one of the frameworks which we have, which is helping us to create this entire workflow, right? Creating the tables, deleting the tables, and all other statements as well. And the main thing will happen in your database, right? So database is your last layer where these changes will happen. So it's not a chatbot. It's just basically a proper agent, which is helping me to manage the entire schema level objects, entire table details, check the governance checks, right? All those things can be done. So it's a production ready type of solution, which we are like, we'll see that obviously, but as I mentioned, it's not robust because I just wanted to show you the demo and I wanted to give you the idea that this things can be done. So how the things are flowing. So create a view, VW employee, department joining employee and department tables, right? So basically I'm just saying that I want to create a view which will join the employee and department table. So that is basically nothing but I am just giving an English text prompt. Machine will understand I want to join these two tables, finds the common column and then join it. I don't have to worry about all the SQL syntax. So intent recognition will happen. Machine will understand first of all that what are you looking for. So we are looking for creating the view. If you go back to the code, here you can see that we have these are the intents which we have written in the prompt, right? User can ask for create database, create table, create view, create or replace view, alter table, create index, all those type of intent we have passed. So it will find out what is the intent you have. So intent is create a view. It will generate the SQL for me. Your Gen AI model will generate the SQL for me, trying to find out the common columns, and based on that, it will join it. And then it will execute the query. And when execution will happen, your database or your view will get created. And your view creates successfully. So the entire cycle from intent to live database object happens autonomously, right? In this particular example, I have created two zones. One is the green zone and second is the red zone. I'm not going with all the deletes and drops type of commands, right? So I'm just making it as a red zone. That means you cannot do that. You cannot go for delete. You cannot go for drops. All those things you cannot do. That is what I have mentioned properly. And secondly, at the database user level also I restricted that if something goes wrong by mistake, it will still not drop it because user does not have the access. So that is taken care. And obviously there is a green zone as well where I can create the databases, tables, views, and all those things. So agent focuses on structural design and scaffolding, not data destruction. It creates, it does not destroy. Right? Democratizing data warehouse design for every skill level. So whether you are coming from technical background, whether you are coming from non-technical background, this agent will help you to create the entire data warehouse without any problem. Alter is basically altering the table structure. Alter means suppose let's say there is an employee table. I want to add one more new column. So alter will add a new column to it. It's a DDL, data definition language. So it reduces repetitive boilerplate SQL, enables focus on optimizing and architecture rather than syntax, right? So the benefit which we are getting as a developer is that I don't have to worry about the syntax and all. That will be taken care. I just have to worry about the architecture and maybe the optimization of the queries, right? I will be focusing more on that rather than just thinking about the architecture because that will be done by the agent without any problem. Design with intent, validate ideas instantly without knowing SQL, bridges the gap between business logic and technical implementation. So you just have to give the entire business requirement and your entire data warehouse will get created, right? So it bridges the gap between your implementation and your logics and technical understanding. For people who are not coming from technical background, the best part is you don't have to learn or memorize the syntaxes. Machine takes care of that. You should be aware of the idea, right? So as a developer or a new developer, you just aware of the ideas that I want to create a table, then what all type of syntaxes can be used, how to define the data types and all. So basic understanding should be there. Rest machine will take care of it. The basic understanding is required because when machine will start creating the code, there can be a chance that I want to modify the code as well. So when I want to modify the code, I just have to make sure that where at which position I have to change the code, right? So the basic understanding is very important. But you don't have to worry about exact syntax and all. That machine takes care of it. These are the total saving which we had after implementing the entire solution. So if I want to design the table, if I want to design and create the entire table for any particular project, these numbers are basically which we got from the clients, what they told. So for creating two tables, they were taking around 30 minutes because they had to design, they had to think of the data types and all. So it was taking around 30 minutes to create two proper detailed data warehousing table. And again, the table is a bigger table, right? It's like a more number of columns are there. But now they are taking around 3 minutes. So that much time they have saved. Creating the complex views, they used to take around 45 minutes or something, where they are creating the complex views, joins, group bias, aggregation, all those things. But now it is taking less than 5 minutes to create the entire complex views. SQL error and fixing, it was more of a manual and iterative. Now machine takes care of that. It is auto handled. So there also they are saving almost 50-60% of time. So overall, the reduction which happened for the entire development part is around 60 to 80% time, right? Because of this automated data warehousing agent. And it's not only about views, creating the views, tables and all. We implemented all the stored procedure concepts and all as well. So it was like proper data engineer bot, you can say, which can do everything, right? So that type of benefit which we got while implementing this entire solution. Strategic placement in the enterprise architecture. So here where we are sitting, right? Your end user is there using the front end, asking for creating the data warehouse, the views, the tables, the stored procedures. This layer will execute and generate the entire data warehouse for me. So this is where you are lying, sits between user and data, acts as design assistant and execution controller, right? So this layer is where my entire agent is sitting. So it's something like this, right? We have a front end. We are asking create a table for sales data with columns having ID, date, amount, and region. And will create the table for me in the data warehouse. So it's, you can see a natural language and the response coming in, right? And the table is actually getting created in the database. Evolving from generator to an intelligent architecture or architect, right? The generator, single command execution, basic scaffolding, context aware, schema awareness, fact and dimension auto design, reading existing tables. Architect, you can apply like that. That is the future in this particular example, although we implemented that in our client's project, that you can apply slowly changing dimension, auto documentation for metadata. All those things can be done. So whenever you are working in any project for Gen AI, just make sure that you are going step by step. If you are going to implement entirely everything in one go, there can be a chance that you may get a failure. So go step by step. Let's say I want to first only design for creating the database. Then I want to design for creating the tables. Then I want to design for creating the views. Then stored procedures like that. So I'll go step by step rather than thinking of implementing everything in one go, because that may confuse machine as well, that how or what the flow will be, right? So that is very important. So whenever you're building a solution, first create the MVP and then go ahead and expand it. So these are the benefits which we got: speed, accuracy, and cost efficiency. We have already seen how much time we have saved. And when we are saving the time, that means cost is also involved and speed is also there, right? Faster platform setup and rapid proof of concepts. Collaboration, reduced dependency on niche experts, better business IT alignment. And last is turn users into logical designers. Describe what you want and how to code it. So that is the future, and that is what we have built a small POC for demonstration. The era of intent-driven data engineering is here. We are moving from SQL-heavy manual engineering to intent-driven automated design. This agent demonstrates real, safe, and effective agentic AI in action. Empower your team to build faster, safer, and smarter. Now I'll show you the demo as well, how this particular tool is working. So first of all, you can see as of now, as I mentioned, the code which we have built is very exhaustive. But for the demo purpose, I just created a simple examples. So these are the two files which I have. One is your backend code, where I'm using the LangGraph. LangGraph is basically nothing but one of the frameworks which can help me to create the entire workflows and agents, which is coming from a company called LangChain, very popularly used. I'm using the OpenAI chat model for the same. I'm using the PyMySQL, which is a package which is going to connect Python with MySQL database. Let me open my database as well. Okay. So I am loading my environment file. In my environment file, I have all the details, my database details, my user password and everything. And I have the OpenAI API key also, which is helping me to connect Python with my OpenAI model. I'm calling my chat model, and the model name I am passing temperature is 0. Temperature 0 means it is going to be very much uh, like the temperature ranges from 0 to 1. When you are more towards 1, you will get more of a creative outputs. But when you are going with the 0, you are getting more of a deterministic output, right? More accurate output is temperature 0 or lower temperature value. When temperature value is higher, it will give me more of a random output, more creative in the sense, right? I'm having a state. State is basically what all things I will capture, right? Request, SQL, result, and DB. Executing the SQL. Here I am connecting my SQL database with passwords and all. So this is like a login which is happening using this function. And it will execute the SQL which you are generating here, right? It will execute the SQL there, which is for creating the database, create database. But other queries coming in, for example, so here is generate SQL function is there. which will create these type of queries, right? Create view, create database, and all those things. It will execute the SQL through the prompt. Prompt will have the SQL. It will generate the SQL for me, and I'm executing that SQL. Basically, I'm saying create a table employee with these columns. So it will create the SQL for me, and that SQL get executed. Right. So that is LLM will generate the SQL, store that in the state, and I am calling that state to actually create the result. Right. Here is my graph where I have the node generate SQL, run SQL, generate SQL, generate and run SQL, and so these are the nodes I have: generate and run. Here I have the edges. I'm connecting the nodes with the edges. So if you are aware of line graph, that is fine. If you are not, I'll just explain quickly. So basically, we are starting the node. After that, we are generating the SQL. And after that, we are running the SQL. And then we are ending. Right. So this is my graph. Once it will start, it will generate the SQL for me based on what user is passing. Once the SQL is generated, I will execute that SQL and then I will end the workflow. Right. So that is what it is saying here. Generate and run. Edge. Edge is nothing but, so these are the nodes. This is a node. This is a node. This is a node. And this is a node. These are the edges. Right. Where we are saying that how the edges are connected. From start to generate SQL, from generate SQL to run SQL, from run SQL to end. That is what you can see here. From start to generate SQL, edge is connected. Generate SQL to run SQL, edge is connected. Run SQL to end, the edge is connected. Right. And then we are compiling the graph. Here I am asking user to enter the input and it will run the input. I have created the front end as well. So front end will help me to execute my entire code. I am calling my backend code. So my backend code is my code. If you search here, my code is imported and my code will run. Right. So this is my entire front end, which is again on Streamlit. Right. So that is the entire front end code which we have. Let's execute this. Let's see what happens. So suppose I am saying so you will get this type of page, right? Data warehouse generator. Here you can pass the default database. As of now, I don't have any database. I want to create it. I'll go here and I'll say create the database HR underscore DW. When I run this, you can see that it is saying your SQL executed successfully. This is your create database HRDW. If you go and check in your database, when you refresh, you can see that HRDW got created. Right. Now, once that is done, I will use this HRDW as my default database where I want to create some tables, some views like that. Right. So let's write it. I want to create a table called department where I will have department ID, department name, department phone number, and I'll run this. So here you can see that create table department, department ID is an integer. I did not give any data type. It automatically understood. Department name is varchar and department phone number is also varchar. When I go back and refresh, you can see that one table got created called your department, where there will be uh, three columns. Right. So that is coming in. Now I want to create the employee table as well. I want to create an employee table where I have employee ID, employee name, employee salary, department ID. Right. So when I run this, it will create the table employee ID, employee name, employee salary, department ID. So here if you refresh, you can see that employee table also coming in. Now I want to create a view which is going to be on top of employee and department both, right? So I'll say that I want to create a view which will join the employee and department table. And I only want the department D name as ID, right? So let's run it. Some error coming in. Employee department ID is on clause, right? Basically, it's saying that department ID is not there. Why it is not there? Because the column name is DP ID and DP ID. So again, mention that I want to join employee in this on dep ID, right? Now let's run. Duplicate column dep ID coming in, right? That is also fine. I can say only select employee name, dep name, and employee salary in the view, right? So here you can see that the view got created. Employee department view as select the three columns from the employee table, joining on the common column department ID, where department name is equal to IT, right? So entire view got created. If you refresh here, you can see that I got a view. You can check the definition of the view as well. So it is looking for IT guy, IT people, joining on the common column, and the columns which I wanted is coming in, right? So that's the power, right? I did not write any code from my side. I just gave the understanding and machine created the code for me. Although, as I mentioned, it's a very basic example which I am showing. We created very exhaustive solution as well. I cannot show that because the code base is not with me. It's with the client now. But that was the idea, right? That was the basic idea, which is making their entire data warehousing development very smooth. Here, you see some of the errors coming in. So basically what we did was in the front end, which we created for them. This front end is a very basic front end. We gave an option that, okay, if you want to create a table, you can just have a drop down that what you want. You want to create table. Then we gave an option that, okay, if you want to create a table, what all columns you want? We gave the option that you can type the column names and you can choose the data types, right? In the drop down. And then we have a submit button. So it will take this entire information and pass it to the LLM. LLM will generate it for you, right? Also, we gave an option that this was one page where we are passing the create table. Another page was just a pure English. right? I'm not going to pass the data types and column names from my side. I'll just say create the employee table with these columns. Data types I'm not passing. So that was also getting created. If I want to create a view, then I can just give that which all tables will participate in the view, what all conditions you have to apply. Automatically the front end page will change for that. Same way if you want to create a stored procedure. So in that case, the front end page is different. What are things you require for stored procedure? What logic you have to apply on that? So all those things we can pass, right? So that front end was very exhaustive, which was created. But as of now, here we are just passing a textual input and it will generate the output for me. For example, I want to create a sales table where I have sales ID, sales amount, and sales region. Right, so you can see the table got created. And if I refresh, you'll find the sales table, right? For drop, let's see. I want to drop the table sales, drop table, right? Because as of now, this code is doing the drop as well. So if you run this, refresh, it is no longer there. Okay. If you want, you can basically change this in the prompt as well. In this prompt, you can just pass properly that I will only run the creates and all. As of now, it's not very exhaustively mentioned, right? It is just saying that I want to run all this, but I did not apply any restriction that I do not want to run the drops and all. For example, let's say I do not want to run drop statement. If it comes, just reply. Okay, something like this. Let's rerun this. Let me close all this. Again, I just gave you the I'm just giving you the example, but this can be taken care more exhaustively as well. But as you asked, I'm just trying to show you one example. So I'll say drop employee table. This is a different error, although create sales table, sales ID, sales amount. There is some more part of the code I have to change here. There's some syntax error coming in. Anyways, I need to check it out. I may have to make some change. I think this part of the code I have to change. It is purely as of now for creates. So I need to just fix that part. But this prompt will change, right? In this prompt, we have to make one change and maybe some part of the code here as well. Yeah, it is written in Python only. Everything is in Python. Yeah, it will throw the error, correct. If there is a primary key, foreign key relationship is there, and if you trying to drop a parent table, it will throw the error. It will not drop it. Again, this is like a demo purpose, but in the real time, obviously, as I mentioned, in the exhaustive solution which we have built, everything is taken care. But the main idea for this discussion is to help you understand that these things can be done. And if you are working as a data engineers and all, you can think of creating the entire agent with the help of AI, and you can showcase that as a POC to your management, right? Any doubts, any queries you have, let me know. This is what I wanted to discuss. Any queries, any doubts, you can ask. I'll share this code with the support team and they will share it with you. Or let me do one thing. Let me just put it in the drive and I'll share it. Give me a second. Here is the link which I pinged you on the chat. Yeah, OpenAI credential will not be coming in because I did not share the environment file, right? I only shared the code. That's fine. Alright, so thanks for the time. I hope you enjoyed. I got something new. Think about some of the use cases. You can email to our support team as well that this type of challenges you are facing and can be automated. So I can maybe come up with some demo for the same as well, right? So you can send the email to the support team and they will forward it to me, right? Have a nice day. Have a nice, yeah, nice rest of the day. Take care, guys.